Welcome, Minister Houssos.
Morning, Mr. Borsak.
Just a few questions around small-scale titles. Minister, I'd like to ask some questions of the independent review into small-scale titles. In late April, you travelled to Lightning Ridge and White Cliffs to speak to Opal miners and landholders. I'm aware that the reviewer, Terry Sheehan AO, handed down 81 recommendations as part of his report, including recommendations, as your own media release says, balance stakeholder rights, improve rehabilitation and environmental outcomes, update cost and compensation, improve understanding and usability of the legislative framework, and modernise the administration of the minerals claims. We're currently almost 5 months from the visit, yet there's been no recent information on the progress of the response from your department. Minister, can you tell us where the government is up to and when we can get a report on the information received from that trip?
So in relation to the, that was the second visit that I'd made to Lightning Ridge.
Could you just maybe speak a bit closer?
Of course.
Thank you.
I'll use my mum voice. In relation to, that was my second visit to Lightning Ridge, and on both visits I have consulted with the local opal mining associations, and actually I'd like to thank the White Cliffs Mining Association for travelling across to meet with me as well. I also met with local landholders and with the Crown Lands Trust, and on this particular visit I had the opportunity to go out actually way past Lightning Ridge out to past to Glengarry and Grawin, to the sheepyards out there, and just sort of visit we passed by the pub in the scrub. Deputy Secretary accompanied me, but it was a great opportunity for me to engage again now that we had the review. My first visit was really about the initial stages of, you would be aware, Mr. Borsak, we had to reissue, or I had to reissue those titles that had been incorrectly issued under the previous government. It was a huge shock to the local community to stop opal mining. But it was clear from that visit that there are a lot of issues that had just been neglected for too long. So as a result of that, we engaged with the review process. You mentioned that there are 81 recommendations. There's a broad range of work that's going to be required, and the purpose of my second visit was really to engage on those recommendations as we formulated the policy. There's been a couple of things that the department has done as a result of that visit, which Ms. Beattie might be able to provide you with a bit more detail on, around an education campaign and some compliance action that's being done. We've also made some changes in relation to the way that titles are issued and renewed. It's the renewal, not the issuing of titles. But I just make this point, Mr. Borsak, it's a relatively small part of our overall mining industry, but it's one that is crucial for the Lightning Ridge and White Cliffs communities, and there's really deeply held views there. And I'd also take this opportunity just to thank the Honourable Stephen Lawrence for the work that he's done in helping engage with the local community, engage with the different various stakeholders, and ensure that all of their views are held. There's no doubt that when we release the recommendation, when we release the government response...
Minister, has Mr. Lawrence been down a mine?
I understand he has. I think he sent me some videos of him.
True. Thank you. But Minister, are we going to get a report from...
Yeah.
And when are we likely to get that?
Look, I'd just say this work is underway. It's been underway for some time, but there are a range of complex recommendations there that we're just working through. But we expect that we'll have something to say before the end of the year.
Before when, sorry?
Before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year, okay. What facts and information can you give us now in relation to what you gleaned from the visits to White Cliffs and Lightning Ridge?
So I didn't go to White Cliffs. I haven't had that opportunity yet. I did, like I said to you, that was my second visit to Lightning Ridge. It was a great opportunity, as I said, to not just engage with the local stakeholders, but get out beyond Lightning Ridge and see some, particularly the mullock heaps, and some of the challenges that faces, and it was certainly raised with me by the landholders afterwards. We did, as I said, launch an education campaign and some compliance action off the back of that, and Ms Beattie can provide you with a bit more detail on that.
Yes, thank you, Minister. So, look, part of the response
Ms
to
Beattie, could you actually just talk a bit more closely into the microphone? Thank you.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
an old shooter and I'm pretty deaf.
Hopefully that's better.
In one ear.
So,
In one ear,
look,
that's right, this one.
in response to the independent review and just our continuing work on opals, the department has been continuing to work with miners and landholders around the regulation of opal mining. With compliance and enforcement, we have really been focusing on education about the need to rehabilitate and understanding requirements and obligations under the Mining Act. Just recently, the Resources Regulator had an education campaign where we worked really closely with miners, had people in the field visiting mine sites, working with miners to make sure that they understand those obligations. We've also been working to ensure that we can reduce administrative burden for miners in terms of the application process for renewing claims, and we made a change to the regulation to ensure that some renewals can be done online. So there's work going on as part of our overall business improvement process to really make sure that the regulatory framework is as effective as it can be.
All right, thanks very much, Ms Beattie. Minister, Australia provides 95% of the world's opals, and the bulk of those come from New Zealand. You said just now that it's a small part of the mining industry, but it's obviously a very important part of the world's supply of opals. Can you provide the annual turnover of opal output in New South Wales?
So that's an excellent question, Mr. Borsak. I think my understanding is that we are the only source of black opal in the world, and so I'd make the point that when I had to take those steps to end opal mining, or just pause opal mining, I should say, as we reissued the titles, there was some significant global market implications for that. But so we're really happy to see that a large number of that opal, or a large proportion of that opal mining, is now back and underway. Ms Beattie has explained how that work is ongoing. One of the things that we asked the independent review to do was to look at the economic contribution of opal mining.
Do you have a figure?
No, my understanding is we don't, but I'd be happy to pass to Ms Beattie about the point. This is somewhat contentious within the mining community, but opal miners don't pay royalties, so they have to pay some fees in association with the work that they do. So there is some limitations to the information that's provided to us.
So look, we did do a cost-benefit analysis as part of the work that fed into the independent review. But as the Minister said, it is, our best estimate of the contribution. It is really important to regional economies in Lightning Ridge and White Cliffs. We know that.
So how much is it? 1 million, 10 million, 100 million?
Look, I'll have to take it on notice to see the number that's in the report, but I think it has a number of caveats also referenced in the report.
Well, of course. Yeah. Minister, you just mentioned in your answer there that when you're closing the industry, was that a mental or slip? I mean, you've got no intention of not continuing with the industry, surely?
No, sorry, Mr. Borsak. What I was talking about was when I first became the minister, one of the first actions I had to take was to stop opal mining because the previous government had incorrectly
in relation
issued
to
the titles.
So
we
okay.
started the process of issuing them correctly and legally, and so that required there to be a pause in opal mining. That was really why I visited Lightning Ridge in those, I think it was at the start of May in 2023, just really to assure the local community that our government and that I personally understood the importance of opal mining to the Lightning Ridge community in particular, and that we were going to get that process underway as quickly as we could. And full credit to the team at Resources, we got that underway. We got the miners back onto their titles as quickly as we could.
Okay, thank you. What can the government do to help promote and push this industry forward once you sort it out, as it were. In other words, one of the key issues is you've got to know what it's worth. Nobody seems to know what it's generating.
So I can provide you with an update there, or I think we can.
Yes, thank you, Minister. I'm happy to share that the report of the independent review said that there's $93 million a year of industry impact from the Opal sector, and that's made up of $63.1 million in direct output and $29.9 million of flow-on benefits.
Well, that's pretty decent for small title businesses, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's pretty decent. So what will you do can you consider what you could do to help promote that? Maybe it's not your portfolio, obviously.
I might come back to you on notice, Mr. Borsak. I know that Minister Moriarty was doing some work in relation to this. As I said to you earlier, given the rarity of black opals and the fact that we are, as I understand, the only source of them in the world, we think that's a great opportunity for us to be showcasing that. And we're certainly, I think the government's looking at doing some more things in Lightning Ridge, but I might just come back to you on notice in relation to that.
Okay, thank you.